All right, hello guys. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite old cartoons, and I'm not really sure how much you guys are going to like this, but I'll try my best to make it as interesting as I can. So I'm not sure how many of you have actually watched the initial Transformers cartoon, and this is a really old movie based off the cartoon series. So there's of course the series which encompasses the stories of the Transformers and all of that. But it's actually there it is 1986. This is the movie. So the movie is from 1986. It is a decent film, of course. It has been outgrown by so many modern day cartoon stories and the likes, and of course the I believe the first Transformers movie that came out did justice. It really showed the capability and strengths of the Transformers. But Michael Bay, of course, he kind of overdoes things. But despite all that, I felt it was really fun, really cool, and it was not as inspiring as the cartoon version. The way the cartoon depicts the Transformers, it really shows you that these characters have a different kind of how can I put it, tone to them. They turn out to be a lot more powerful, a lot more menacing, and they're really shown as some form of intergalactic conquerors, or rather explorers, and of that like. And also, a lot of main characters that were in this cartoon were not brought out to the live action film. And one of these are my favorite characters, which is Hot Rod. This guy here. So Hot Rod was like that cool character, and he kind of depicted this young, kind of energetic Autobot that tries to live up to the mantle of Optimus Prime, as any Autobot would, and gets caught up in the battle, and he is one of those warriors that's trying to fight for it, and eventually. The spark that belongs to Optimus gets passed down to Ultra Magnus, I believe. And Ultra Magnus, before he could pick up the spark, it lands in the hands of Hot Rod and glows, indicating to us that there may be a bigger thing that's going to happen to Hot Rod. And Hot Rod is also the person who had the interaction with the child character in this film. And we also see, after a massive battle between Optimus and Megatron, while Optimus dies and hands down the spark, Megatron instead gets thrown out of his ship by Starscream, who wants to take the place as the new leader. However, Megatron's scraps are collected by this giant planet known as Unicron, and Unicron transforms Megatron into Galvatron and uses him as the new conqueror. And I believe there should be a picture somewhere here of Unicron. Is there? There it is. So Unicron is actually a planet. It looks like a giant moon. It's sort of like the Star Wars Death Star version of what an Autobot would be, except it transforms into this humongous monstrosity that destroys worlds. And it's really cool. There it is. It's churning down some sort of a world. I can't remember what world this is, but it's churning a world and it looks absolutely terrifying. So I felt that this movie was one of the better films back in the in the good times, in the good days, right? I'm a kid from the 90s. This film was in the 80s, so by the time I got it, it was like a cartoon that was there, right? It came out in TV when I watched it, and I was so glad recently when I managed to get a copy of this film, and I'm kind of upset that I don't really have a CD of it. But let me tell you, I had a tape. I actually had a tape of this movie, and yeah, I used to watch it quite a lot, and it was really cool. So here we get a shot of I can't remember what it's like, some space station, and they have this lore between Autobots and Transformers chit chatting and talking to each other. And I felt that this was one of the better explained cartoons back in the day. And let me tell you, long ago when people actually made cartoons into films, they really made sure the scale was huge because they wanted people to have rewatchability. They wanted to make sure that people understood that just because it's a cartoon, it's not to be taken lightly. Like, every character is actually given weight. There are high stakes involved. There is importance given to the characters. And man, looking at this logo just brings me back those sweet memories of my weekends spending time watching the cartoons, the animated films, and popping a tape into my tape player and actually watching this. And for those of you who don't know what a tape is, I mean, kids, just Google it. I'm pretty sure Google is capable of finding that out. So yeah, we do have different voices for each of these characters, and it's wonderful. I'm going through this video that I have, and I believe, oh yeah, there we go. We get to see a bit of the like the workshops of some sort of Autobots just preparing parts to repair themselves and whatever. And wait, what is this subs? I'm not sure what these subs are. Let's just disable it. It's not really necessary for us. So we get to see these Autobots kind of preparing for war, and it's all pretty cool and stuff like that. We also see a lot of shots of their ships and their space shuttles and the technology they use to communicate and interact. And it's pretty cool how, compared to the modern day film, uh, this cartoon and the early depictions of the Transformers actually showed these Transformers as some sort of more humanized figures. And of course, they can transform into machines, right? But they still use computers to interact as we would. They don't just plug themselves in like the Matrix. And I felt that that was pretty cute because maybe uh, this was the capabilities of the people at that time. But when the Matrix and all came in, I think it was pretty much understood that they'll be able to wirelessly connect themselves to anything without needing to use their hands to clickety click on some control panel. But nonetheless, this was early days before the internet, and there were a lot of things that really worked very manual. Having a computer at home was like an achievement. Getting a keyboard that your fingers don't get stuck in between was also pretty cool. Having a mouse that is light is like, I mean, back then mouse had rollers beneath them, and I'm not sure most of you guys actually know what that even is. But for those of you who do, well, hey there. I'm pretty sure we have all taken out that little roller just to see why it's so heavy in the mouse. And the mouse becomes so light after that. It's such good times. So here we see Optimus Prime in all his glory, and they're preparing for some sort of a defense as these what do you call this? The Decepticons are attacking, and Megatron is preparing some assault. And it's all pretty cool. It's all very simple motivation back then. It's all conqueror stuff. But at the same time, you feel the scale of it because you do see Autobots die. They get captured, they get beaten, and it's pretty brutal. Like, this is war, and it's depicted in a cartoon for children. And as you can see here, there's like a kid who sits down next to Hot Rod, and it's pretty much a child's cartoon back then, and it was shown with high stakes, and I really love that. It tells you that children can be mature, and they deserve to see the content that's suitable for them. And it's really nice. This kid has a lot of fun with Hot Rod. He's now, I believe, in Hot Rod as he transforms into a car, and Hot Rod's taking him around for a spin. And this is when the Decepticons are attacking, and unfortunately, Optimus has not arrived on this planet, so they have to delay the arrival. Delay the Decepticons while they await the arrival of reinforcements. And then reinforcements do arrive. I believe Optimus has a battle with what do you call this, Megatron, and there's like a massive high stakes battle, right? These two absolute beasts go up against each other and they clash. And I like all the fights in between. I like this one. This is the assembly of what is his name? It's like these Constructicons. Is it Constructicons? They form this thing called Devastator, and this is what it is. And I believe in the Transformers film that we saw, Devastator, in I think it was Transformers 2 or 3, but Devastator never achieved its final form because one of its major body parts got destroyed. So despite looking massive in the film, it was not the final form of Devastator. But here you get to see Devastator actually doing Devastator stuff. It's absolutely massive. And unlike in the film, in the cartoon, Megatron transforms into a turret. And don't take it lightly. The turret can really kill you in a one shot. It's really high firepower. So using Using Devastator, they bring down the fortress, and the reinforcements finally arrive. And then you get to see Optimus sort of come in full fashion and style as he transforms. Oh man, that looks so freaking cool! And then he is just wrecking these Decepticons as he comes to the defense of the Autobots. And of course, he's challenged by none other than the leader of the Decepticons, Megatron. And of course, back then the voice acting is just also awesome. It is led by, I believe, what is his name? No, no, no. What is? Oh God. Peter Cullen. Peter Cullen was Optimus Prime, and Megatron was what was his name? Oh man, I can't remember. I probably have to look it up. But anyway, yeah, Peter Cullen does an absolutely beautiful job of voicing, Optimus, and as he did in the film as well. The live action film was also still Peter Cullen, so that was pretty nice. Then of course we get to the parts where Hot Rod kind of gets caught in the fight because he tries to help Optimus because he realizes Optimus is in trouble, but instead he ends up in a worse situation where Megatron holds him at his mercy, and he attacks Optimus. And this way he gets to almost nearly kill Optimus before Optimus absolutely wrecks Megatron with a massive swing, and that causes the two fighters to kind of take near fatal damage. So of course Optimus is wounded worse than Megatron. But while the Autobots try to put Optimus back together, Optimus knows he's going to fail and hands over the spark to Ultra Magnus, who he believes is the rightful, what do you call this? The next rightful ruler of the Autobots. However, as it falls, it is caught by Hot Rod, and Hot Rod, it has like a glow, but despite that, everyone ignores it, and Hot Rod hands it over to Ultra Magnus, who takes the spark and assumes command as the new leader of the Autobots, and Optimus dies. And this is how the film starts. This is pretty intense, and such an amazing story. And after that, we get to see Starscream on the other hand doing the complete opposite treatment for Megatron, where Megatron just gets dumped because they don't really want to spend time putting him back together because they feel that he's lost the fight. So there's no reason for a weakness to be part of the what they call this Decepticons rule, and they get rid of him. And he gets eventually collected by Unicron, and Unicron uses him to transform him into Galvatron and turns him into some sort of a what do you call that? Like a herald. Like Silver Surfer is the herald of Galactus. Yeah, some sort of that depiction. So he turns into Galvatron, who is a herald of Unicron, and Galvatron is more powerful, and he transforms into I believe no, sorry, Megatron transforms into a gun. I think he can transform into a few different things, but he usually transforms into a gun, whereas Galvatron transforms into a turret. Yeah, now I'm remembering it a little bit better. Optimus, of course, transforms into a truck. There's no difference there. But we have a lot more balance between the flying types in this story. Like there are a lot more Autobots that can fly, as well as an equal number of Decepticons that can fly, and you get to see a lot more Transformers because all this is not taking place on Earth. These are all taking place in alien planets, so that's pretty cool. So you get to see them fully fledged, and of course in the cartoon it's a lot easier to do it. I like this radio one. I forgot what's his name, Soundwave or something like that. But there's a few different radio Autobots as well, and it's so cool because no one uses radios nowadays. I'm not sure what they would transform into today, but I think the one we saw in the film transformed into a smartwatch or something, which was pretty cool. I thought that was a really nice transformation. So yeah, and then of course the story proceeds to show Galvatron, like trying to go after the spark, because that is what Unicron is afraid of, because the spark apparently has the technology to how can you put it, to corrupt and destroy Unicron, because it is like a complex AI virus or something like that. So in order to defend themselves, they eventually end up in some sort of a situation where they meet the Dinobots, and the king of the Dinobots. He's a pretty funny guy. I forgot his name, but he's really cute. The way Hot Rod and him interact and all that is really fun. And the Dinobots are recruited, and they are very much needed in their battles to come. And the Dinobots are really powerful. They're quite menacing, and They make really good allies, and while Hot Rod goes on his own conquest to kind of recruit and stay alive, the Autobots, especially Ultra Magnus and the likes, come under threat by Galvatron, and they eventually lose the fight. And while that happens, we get two different split scenes between Hot Rod's battles, the challenges he goes through, and while I can't remember the exact plots, the gist of it is that he has his struggles while the Autobots are separated from him and they have to try to stay alive as well. So the later parts of the film become really high stakes. A lot of Autobots die and get into bad situations. The humans were apparently given some sort of a mech suit as well to transform, and they can transform into like little cars, which is pretty fun. I thought it was really cool. And me as a kid, I actually designed a box. I built like a suit out of a bunch of boxes, and I made it such that I could fold myself into like a car-like box. And while it wasn't perfect, the funny thing was, a few years after I actually did that by myself, right after watching this film, I actually saw people sell it in a Toys R Us, like an actual cardboard box like set that allows you to transform into some sort of a car by slipping into it. And it looked like a way more better and perfect version of a transformation than I would have ever done as a kid. But I was like, hey, they stole my idea. And then I realized that, oh yeah, we all got inspiration from this. Yeah, and so it was pretty cool. So after that, of course, I forgot what these names of these transformers are, but there's some sort of scavengers, I believe, and they come to try to um, I don't know, steal or kidnap these Autobots, and they do, manage to kidnap some people, and these Autobots sell some sort of isotopes or something to try to, like, what do you call that? Get these people onto their side, so they like kind of trade these isotopes to them or something like that, and it doesn't really work out or something, and they get captured, and they like try to push them into this evil monstrosity pit, which is I thought was really funny and really cool. It felt very Indiana Jones-esque and very like a pirate film as well. Man, these films have so many wonderful things. The story is so big. You get to see so many things. It's only a an hour and a half film. Right, you don't get this much out of any Disney movie. There's no Disney film that makes 1.5 hour cartoons that give you this much content. And back in the day, there actually were a few that I probably could reference. Like, I think the Little Mermaid story was actually pretty well fleshed out. Aladdin story, of course, but Snow White and all that were way older. So, with all due respect, those films were just beautiful cartoons, while the story was just so-so. But of course, those are stories that have lived, like stood the test of time. But these are cartoons, like these Transformers. They were such creative cartoons, but a lot of people don't talk about them these days because, why? You have outlived this, and robots now look cooler. Maybe they do look cooler now, but when you think about it, this is what started all of that. These Transformers cartoons were what really inspired the modern day depictions of robots on screen. And it's so cool the way they look, the way they detailed the concept of space and intergalactic travel. And I felt that all of this was really fun. So after these two Autobots get pushed into the cyclone-like thing, I believe the Dinobots come to their rescue. I can't remember. Oh yeah, they do. There we go. The Dinobots come to their rescue, and they end up in this really cool fight. And they agree to be allies, and they push out to go and meet up with the rest of their allies. And finally, we manage to get all the Autobots together with Dinobots, and they have some scrap junk, junk Transformer allies as well, and they all join forces to try and stop this. What do you call this? To stop Unicron from destroying planet after planet just to feed himself. And so they end up in the battle against Unicron, and it's an absolutely powerful battle. Galvatron has collected the spark from Ultra Magnus, but Galvatron, being Megatron under this skin, what he does is he wants to try to betray his master. He wants to betray Unicron, and that is so Megatron. That is so Megatron to show that despite being given this new body, this new form, this new power, and even some sort of control under Unicron, he deep down in his core, he is still evil enough to betray Unicron, and he tries to go in and use the spark against Unicron, but he is unable to to activate it or use it to its fullest or something like that. And guess who eventually gets their hands on it? There we go. Come on, come on, give me that scene. Give me that scene. Oh, come on, I need that scene. It's such a good scene. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? No, not yet. Oh, there we go. We get the battle between what do you call this, Galvatron and Hot Rod, and Hot Rod eventually grabs the what do you call this, the Allspark, and then he pulls it to create the new Prime, and he becomes Rodimus Prime, I believe was the name, and Rodimus Prime uses the power of the Matrix of leadership or something. Why did I say Allspark? Did I say Allspark? What is it called? Is it the Matrix of leadership or the Allspark? What's the difference? The Matrix of leadership. Matrix of leadership. Yeah, that's what it's called. The Allspark. What is the Allspark? Uh, Oh, okay. So the Allspark is a movie-only thing, like the live-action movie thing. In the cartoon, it was just known as the Matrix of Leadership. Right, right. So that's pretty cool. Now that I now that I'm trying to recall more details about this, but yeah, he uses the Matrix of Leadership to unlock his new powers and becomes Rodimus Prime, the new and rightful Prime, and he defeats Galvatron in a nice battle before he proceeds to unlock the full wrath of the Matrix of Leadership, which releases this extremely powerful code that begins the destruction of Unicron. And Unicron gets blown up from the inside out. Is such a cool scene, such a cool moment. You get the music. I really wish I could play that music for you guys, but I'm going to get completely demonetized, destroyed, and absolutely obliterated if I were to play that. So I probably have to make another video and call that a review of the music or something like that to save myself. But I really would like to review that music now that I think about it. And this is the new form of Rodimus Prime. He turns into some sort of new kind of truck, and they defeat Unicron and they save the day. And man, it's such a beautiful film, such a wonderful movie. And I mean, if you're a fan of sci-fi, if you're a fan of the Transformers, the cartoons, the robots, and all this cool stuff, you would love it. So I highly recommend for you guys to go and watch this movie. I believe the rating on IMDb is just as much as I would have given it. Even today, I would have given it a 7 out of 10 probably, because of how creative it was for its time. And though it may look a little wonky, it may look a little old. Hey guys, it is a film from 1986. What do you expect, right? If it's a film that came out in 2018 and looked like this, I would rate it really, really low. But at the same time, I have to give it what it is. So that's it from me. I hope you guys check this film out. If you have not already, try to get any copy of it, tape, CD, whatever it is you could get your hands on. So it's such a cool thing. Unfortunately, the tapes that I have are all spoiled. All I have is a copy from like some old CD that I copied, and I have it as a file with me now, and that's about it. So yep, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Adios, guys. Oh, and you got the touch.